It was probably about 20 years ago. And that
what did it say?
The license plate on the back of this pickup from Alaska said sovereign, private, not for hire, registered with Secretary of State, registration number. And I have the number on there.
Oh. Probably sovereign is not a good idea because the bad guys are using it to call us terrorists at this point.
Exactly. But that's what he had on his, and
right.
He was in Pendleton, Oregon, with that plate on there, being from Alaska. So, we can assume that he drove from Alaska through British Columbia, through Washington to get to Oregon.
Yep. Reasonable.
And like I said last night, you can do the same thing with your clerk of the court or with your court. The correct terminology for your court is United States. Now get this, write this down, everybody, so you have this right, okay? United States Superior Court. Okay? For the Territorial Estates, that's estates, for the Territorial Estates of, and then you put your name in there.
Yes, I put that on the Skype group today and also sent out a separate email off the Yahoo group.
Okay.
Saying that we modified the name. And it's plural estates rather than single?
Yes, it's plural estates. You have more than one estate.
More than one document.
Well, no, you've got more than one estate, okay?
Okay.
You got an estate here, you got an estate there, okay? Basically, just look at it that way, okay?
Okay.
And then it's in your name, okay? Now, this is the Supreme or Superior Court in the court system. Because this is the People's Court. This is the one that could not be listed into the Constitution, but it has to be there. The Constitution only covers the governmental courts that are out here. And then the statutes later on established the federal courts in the process. But see, you have to have the title of the court, then you have to show the jurisdiction of the court. And that's where the Territorial Estates of Patrick Devine or whoever comes into play. That now shows the jurisdiction of that court. You don't have jurisdiction over Tom Jones down the road. But you can issue your court orders out against your territorial estates. Now, if these guys do not comply, what are they? they are standing in contempt of court. See, now it comes back around to see where you can file your charges against them. Civil contempt or criminal contempt. And even treason. But you have to have two courts come together to file the treason charge. Then those charges of contempt, you file them into the district, the United States District Court. Not into the federal courts, but into the United States District Court, or the United States Circuit Court, or the United States Supreme Court, per the Constitution. Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions about what went on last night and what I just went over right now?
Not so far, Patrick. I've been going over the definitions very carefully, and I'm going to keep doing that to pull it together to see how we can write our orders.
Okay.
And Dan did send his seal that you worked out with him.
Yeah, basically.
And it had just one small typo on it.
Okay.
It has one small typo on it. He misspelled territorial.
Okay. Well,
we can fix it.
Call him up and tell him that then.
Okay.
Yeah, you got his phone number right there.
Yeah, right on the document. I will do that. Actually, you gave it to me on Skype. I can just leave it there on Skype.
Well, I don't know where he might be on the call tonight. Did you get that, Dan?
Guess not.
You guys on the call here, you can speak up, okay? You just don't have to sit there and listen. That's all you want to do. Just go ahead and back off and just shut the damn phone line down and then wait till the call comes out on the site. If that's all you want to do. You come on this call, I expect you to speak up. We hold the calls so that you can ask questions if you've got them.
Right, the calls are for you guys.
Well, I saw the seals today.
Pardon?
I saw the seals today, so I'm going to be applying for my own seals. So,
you got to speak up a little and a little clearer.
I've got your speaker here. That's right. I said I'm going to apply for my seals pretty soon.
Okay.
All right. So I saw it today. My friend Virgin and I were talking about it this afternoon, and I showed some documentation based on what was said last night, and we were going over it, and we saw a couple of things that are very interesting. So we're actually learning, and I actually have to thank you for that, because there's so much things that is out here, and I'm very much satisfied of what you're putting out there. So, as I said, we are learning, and we are going to do as step by step. I haven't gone as far as most guys, but actually, I am taking my time. So I'm actually myself. I'm recording this myself too, so sometimes I can go over it and see where what was said and take it from there.
Okay. Now, one of the big things here, when you have your court, okay?
Right.
They try and drag you into their court system, okay? And you have not caused any harm or damage to anybody, okay? They're doing a fraudulent use of a fraudulent use of process. Okay, and that's addressed in American Jurisprudence, Volume 2. A form of abuse of process, the use of legal process for a fraudulent purpose, as by attempting to enforce a judgment on a fictitious claim or the use of legal process as a mere cover for the creditors in obtaining property of the defendant in order to put it to their own use.
Wow.
And that's what's going on in most of this place. The IRS, okay, they're in a fraudulent process. All of those tax bills should be going to the Attorney General. All your claims should be going to the Attorney General, to the trustee over those mutual beneficial society life insurance policies. Or the other term is fraternal beneficial society. Because I can guarantee that damn Attorney General has a bar card too. And see, they're abusing the process of the government. Anybody that's got a bar card out there is abusing the governmental process. Like I stated before, North Carolina and I think one or two of the other colonies had signs on their border that basically they would hang a minister or an attorney if they came into their colony, their territory. Why? Because they were representing a fraternal or mutual beneficial society. And that society is a destructive society because it's a usury of life insurance policies. And life insurance policies basically are out there to write bonds and use usury, a monetary usury. It's not the bankers, okay? We had the Federal Reserve in this country in the 1960s. The money exchange was basically par value. A dollar of silver was one Federal Reserve dollar. Gas was roughly about 18 to 25 cents, somewhere in that area. Gas today is still in that area. When you do the conversion of the Federal Reserve dollars to silver and then look at the value of what that gas is, even though it says $3 a gallon, it's still only about 7 cents a dollar, so it's 21 cents a gallon in silver dollars. The area that got hit was your labor. They made you a slave.
Exactly.
Your labor value went down. In a lot of cases, more than half of what it was back in the 1960s. I was making $2.25 an hour. And basically, I had money to burn. Because things were par value at that point in time. The Federal Reserve System was still there. But the banksters and the government system had not fully kicked in and got away with all the stuff that they were operating with. Nixon was a banker. Carter was a banker. Reagan was a patsy controlled by the Bushes. And when Reagan sort of got out of line, they called in one of their MK Ultra Bush relatives to have him shot and bring him back in the line. They didn't want to kill him because they didn't want to have George Bush go into power right then. They wanted to have more control down the line. So because Bush was controlling Reagan, so they ran his term out. And then later on, Bush got into power. And then he put his damn nitwit son, and then also the drug cartel, Clintons, in the power. And the banksters have controlled the government ever since. Nixon. You got to look where the real problem is here.
Oh.
And then all these other nitwits that are out here, they don't know a damn thing about being a representative because they can't be a representative because they're all in debt. And I said that before. Basically, they're in violation of the Constitution. Because to be a representative of another man, you cannot be in debt to somebody else.
Right.
So they don't even meet the requirements of the Constitution. Now, you go into court, they call you in, you come in, and you identify yourself as the judge for the United States Superior Court for the Territorial Estates of blank. You don't get into a damn argument with them. You make your statement, and you say that basically, I am ordering the termination because this is a fraudulent, you are performing a fraudulent use of process. And if you do not comply, you are in contempt of my court. And it will be classified as a criminal contempt.
Mm-hmm.
And I will file the charges into the United States District Court for this jurisdiction. And then, see, you're coming in as the United States versus this other party.
Mm.
Yes, see, now the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to have to be the prosecutor for this action, coming from your court, standing over them. that are in contempt of your court. Because you're both United States representatives. Those state courts and those other courts that are out here are all fraudulent courts. And they're using a fraudulent use of process. To try and deceive you and try and get money out of you. Just like the IRS is a fraudulent use. They're trying to put a claim against you when you owe no taxes. But see, they have it down to where they have you under a state of servitude, which is a total violation of the Constitution and the amendments. Indentured servitude. All done by this fraternal or mutual beneficial societies. Before you ever go into court, you had better practice in front of a mirror or with somebody else. Go over what you're going to say. I've told you, in some cases, you go and sit in the court to try and get familiar because basically most people go into court and they're scared shitless. They get tongue-tied and everything else. You have to come in there in the proper standing that you're in control, not them.
They want to intimidate.
What?
They want to intimidate you.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it is, you know. We have to practice with one another, and then.
And he's really given us an organized script to work with here. We have to keep running this through our heads. I like this.
Yeah, instead of using that ecclesiastical notary that I had there before, you use your clerk of the court. You have your identification card signed by a United States Superior Court for the territory of your name, and basically under the clerk of the court's seal, the court seal. Now that, coming from a United States court, has a higher authority than the Secretary of State.
Mm.
Because you're still, and you're a superior. That means you stand over the Constitution. The Secretary of State is under the Constitution. So that identification card basically becomes your driver's license and can become your passport, especially here in North America. Overseas, some countries may not recognize it, and then if they don't, then you would just go down to an American consulate and get it apostilled at that point in time.
Mm.
Okay.
See, you've got to think outside the box. There's remedies for everything out here. we've been looking in the wrong places and listening to the wrong people in a lot of times in this regards. Ownership of your vehicle. You basically bring it to your court, and you have it identified that this is your territorial property under court order. You render a judgment or a decision out of your court, and you can do either one. A decision, in most cases, would be like you're going to do your invoices. You submit those into the court. The court rules upon those invoices as being valid, and then you have the clerk of the court issue the invoices out and sends the order out to the Attorney General for where you're at against your mutual or fraternal beneficial society life insurance policy that's holding your assurance assets. And then they're going to try and charge you and try and claim when you take that asset out, they're going to try and charge you for interest on that. You turn around and send that bill right back to the Attorney General. He's the trustee over that account until you take it completely out of their control and stop the usury. And that's done by a dissolution of the corporate account. See, they set your fictional person up as a corporate soul. Now, what is it in the Bible? You have three. And what was the process, the end process? Three gets merged into one. And this is where in your court case that you're going to do under your tribunal will, and the third party, the beneficiary, is not going to be allowed in. So you've just got you, the grantor, and you, the grantee, in the process. And you basically do that under oath with the clerk of the court. Now, one of the first actions is basically you get that attested by the clerk of the court under your signature. Second action is basically your grantor is going to do the quit claim deed over to the grantee. Ordering the merger of that into one. And then the dissolution, so now you don't have a grantee, therefore now the mutual easement lease or the paternal easement lease, however you want to look at it, is no longer valid. It's voided. Because it had to have two there, the grantor and the grantee. And you just took the grantor out of the picture. With the quit claim deed. That's the Holy Ghost passing over the Hebrews. But passing over to the Hebrews his assets that were held in fraud. Okay, any questions? Comments?
Wow.
You really thought that through, Patrick.
Huh?
You really thought that through. That's concentrated information. Great.
Yeah, but I've said this thing for about the last 2 or 3 weeks, the same rhetoric.
Right.
In a lot of cases.
Right, but you put it all in one really good flow there. It's a great summary.
Yeah, see, when you start looking these words up and you start putting them together, you really start putting the process to full effect, because that's what the Bible told you to do. Learn the words. It's all in the words.
Right.
It's not in the codes or anything else. It's in the words until you understand what the words are, and that's why you have to go to several dictionaries to find out whether this dictionary is telling you the truth or not, or giving you some false misinformation. And yes, there is, in some of these law dictionaries, false and deceptive information in them, put in there by the fraternal societies. The Men in Black, the Bar Association, the religious ministers, the Scottish Freemasons, because the Scottish Freemasons were basically brought into this country by Albert Pike. And he was in cahoots with the Pope out of Rome. And he brought in and set up this fraternal organization, the Scottish Freemason, based upon what the church had been doing for thousands of years.
That was Constantine, right?
Huh?
Pope Constantine?
I still didn't hear you.
Pope Constantine. That was Pope Constantine, right? First Pope.
No, it was, I don't know what pope it was. It was 1960 or 1940 something. Okay, Albert Pike. He was a shithead out of Arkansas. He's the only non-government person, official, United States government official, that has a statue in Washington, D.C. Because, see, they brought in the Scottish Freemasons to overlay what the true Knights Templar Masons had laid out. The just Masons. And these Scottish Freemasons are unjust Masons. They're operating with insurance, just like the Knights of Columbus, just like the VFW, just like the American Legion. They're all using life insurance policies in their damn membership drives.
Oh.
I said all along that basically the insurance side of the banking system is the most destructive item out here.
Oh.
Okay, questions?
Doesn't look like it, Patrick.
Huh?
I think doesn't look like there are questions. You've answered the questions I've had.
Okay, then go ahead and shut it off.
Okay, but people can
Okay, talk to you guys
hear
later.
This call.
Okay.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Okay, night, Patrick.